Before installing the lock, check that you have all of the required components: an outside housing, an in trim assembly, a strike, two 1-inch Phillips head strike mounting screws and a strike box, an outside lever handle, a battery compartment with 3 AA batteries, a mortise with two 1-inch Phillips head mounting screws, and a hardware bag containing a square spindle, a hexagonal spindle, 3 mounting screws, and a battery compartment screw. For professional results, Kaba recommends the use of an installation jig to drill the door and router templates for the strike and mortise faceplate. Other required tools include safety glasses, a 1/2-inch chisel, tape measure, combination square, No. 2 Phillips screwdriver, pencil and eraser, 1/2-inch, 1-inch, and 1/8-inch drill bits, an awl or center punch, a mallet, a No. T15 Torx head screwdriver, a drill, a router, a mortiser, and a vacuum for quick cleanup. Carefully inspect the door and door frame before making any cuts. Ensure that the procedures that follow will not cause any damage, and check that the clearance between the edge of the door and the door frame is 1/4 inch or less. Measure the thickness of the door. Mark the height from the floor to the turning axis of the lock handle. Use a handle height that meets all building codes that apply to your region. Measure and mark the vertical center line of the mortise, half the door thickness from the stop. Remember to allow for the thickness of bumpers or a door seal if installed. The American mortise handle height corresponds to the bottom lip of the strike, and its strike mounting screws are located directly on the vertical center line of the mortise. Attach the metal strike template securely to the door frame with the self-drilling screws so the bottom lip of the cutout is aligned with the handle height of the lock. Make the strike cutout using a router. Remove the template, then finish the corners with a chisel. Place the strike in the cutout and mark the location for the mounting screws and the opening. Remark the center line of the strike. Make the 1-inch wide opening for the latch and deadbolt with a drill and a chisel. And drill 1/8-inch pilot holes for the mounting screws. Install the strike using the 1-inch Phillips head screws provided. The strike box is not required for wood door frames, but can be installed if so desired. If you use a power screwdriver, ensure that it has a clutch mechanism to protect the screws and the strike. Before you continue, check that the handing of the mortise is correct for the current installation. If you have to change the handing, place the mortise on a flat surface and remove the trim plate. Begin by extending the deadbolt approximately 1/4 inch by turning the hub with a small flat screwdriver. On an Autodeadbolt mortise, hold the deadbolt while you press the auxiliary latch. The deadbolt will be released and will begin to slide outward under the force of the spring. If you release the auxiliary latch too late, the deadbolt will extend to its full length. If this occurs, turn the thumb turn hub to return the deadbolt to its fully retracted position, then start again. This time, release the auxiliary latch before the deadbolt reaches 5/16 of an inch, and it will stop automatically at the correct distance for changing the mortise handing. Press in the latch bolt and insert the retaining tool into the tailpiece slot to prevent the tailpiece from falling inside the mortise mechanism. Note that the beveled corners of the tool point toward the center of the mortise. Hold the latch bolt and the retaining tool and slide the tailpiece up to release the latch bolt from the mortise. When it is no longer held by the tailpiece, allow the latch bolt to slide out until it stops. Again, hold down the retaining tool. Push the latch bolt in slightly and pull out the latch bolt until it clears the front plate of the mortise. Turn the latch bolt 1/2 turn and reinsert it. Engage the tooth on the anti-friction latch with the front plate of the mortise so that the latch bolt does not slip out of the mortise while you reposition your hands. Once again, hold down the retaining tool and press in the latch bolt with one hand. Slide the tailpiece back down to engage the latch bolt. Hold in the latch and with your free hand remove the retaining tool. Let the latch bolt slide outward and engage the tooth in the anti-friction latch with the front plate of the mortise so that the latch extends the normal amount. If the mortise has a crescent-shaped auxiliary latch, this part also needs to be reversed. Press down the auxiliary latch, which will pop out of the mortise. Turn it 1/2 turn and reinsert it as shown. If the mortise has a triangular auxiliary latch like that shown here, it does not need to be reversed. The recommended way to prepare the door is to use the installation jig for drilling the holes and a router template for the mortise faceplate cutout. The height of the lock installation on the door is determined from the position of the previously installed strike. Begin by marking the height of the lower lip of the strike on the edge of the door. Make a second mark for the center of the mortise 1 1/2 inches above the first mark. Measure 3 5/16 of an inch above and below the second mark to mark the top and bottom of the mortise cutout. Brace the door securely before making any cuts. Calibrate the mortiser for a depth of 4 1/4 inches and clamp it securely on the door, leaving no gap. Make the mortise cutout between the top and bottom marks. Chisel a 1/2 inch high, 1 inch deep slot for the anti-friction latch on the side of the mortise cutout closer to the door frame. The top of the slot should be level with the horizontal center line of the mortise. Mark the top and bottom of the mortise faceplate 4 inches above and below the horizontal center line of the mortise cutout. Clamp the mortise faceplate router template in position over the marks, and remove the material to a depth of 1/4 inch. Finish the corners with a chisel. The 2 metal guide tabs on the inside of the installation jig are preset to fit the mortise faceplate cutout, and the jig backset is suitable for doors with a bevel from 0 to 3 degrees. Install the jig on the door with the tabs inside the mortise faceplate cutout and clamp it securely. Check the lettering to ensure the jig is right side up before continuing. Drill 2 pilot holes, 1/8 inch in diameter, for the mortise mounting screws. Drill the 4 1/2 inch diameter holes for the lock mounting screws and the thumb turn spindle. When drilling the holes for the lock, drill to half the required depth from one side, then complete each hole from the opposite side of the door. This procedure avoids unsightly damage to either side of the door. Follow similar precautions when drilling the 1 inch diameter hole for the drive spindle. Check that the adjustable mortise bevel matches the bevel of the door. If necessary, loosen the 2 Phillips bevel screws, change the bevel, and retighten the screws. Install the mortise on the door and secure it with the 2 1 inch Phillips head mounting screws. Complete the mortise installation by installing the trim plate using the 2 1/4 inch long Phillips head screws. Push in the latch to seat the faceplate. Insert the slotted end of the square drive spindle into the outside lever hub until it locks into place. The spindle should be angled 45 degrees in order to pass through the mortise hub. Insert the grooved end of the hexagonal thumb turn spindle in the upper hub of the outside housing. It will clip in place. If you are installing the lock on an exterior door, seat the gasket from the outdoor kit on the outside housing so that the notch for the battery compartment is properly aligned. Finally, place the outside housing on the door. Before installing the inside trim assembly, turn the inside lever to the appropriate horizontal rest position for the handing of the door and put the thumb turn in a vertical position. For Autodeadbolt models, additional steps may be required. Refer to the printed instructions. Place the inside trim assembly on the door so that the spindles engage the thumb turn and the inside lever. Hold the outside housing and the inside trim assembly and fasten the lock on the door using the 3 mounting screws. Tighten the screws equally. If you use a power screwdriver, ensure it has a clutch mechanism to protect the screws and the lock. At this point, test for smooth operation of the lock. Turn the inside lever. The latch bolt should retract smoothly and return when the lever is released. Turning the thumb turn should extend the deadbolt smoothly, and turning the inside lever again should retract both the latch bolt and the deadbolt. When the anti-pick latch is pressed, it should be impossible to press in the latch bolt. On Autodeadbolt models, press and hold the auxiliary latch to trigger the deadbolt. While still holding the auxiliary latch, turn the inside lever. Both the latch bolt and the deadbolt should retract fully. Release the auxiliary latch, then return the lever to a horizontal position. The deadbolt should remain retracted and the latch bolt should extend. Once again, press the auxiliary bolt to trigger the deadbolt, then check which way the thumb turn rotates to select the horizontal position for guest privacy. Choose the correct handing of privacy level and apply it to the inside trim assembly above the thumb turn. The outside handle is shipped disassembled from the outside housing in order to make it field reversible. Attach the outside handle in the correct horizontal rest position by sliding it onto the tube until it clicks into place. Test the attachment of the handle by pulling smartly on it. If the handing of the outside handle is incorrect, remove the lock from the door. Insert a small pick into the hole in the hub on the outside housing and pry back the spring clip to release the handle. Finally, insert the battery holder into the outside housing and secure it with the Torx drive screw. The lock will make a short buzzing noise that indicates that it is powered. If the lock buzzes continuously and the red LED is flashing, remove the batteries, wait 10 seconds for the lock electronics to reset themselves, and reinsert the batteries. Before programming the lock, test the electronics and the fit of the mortise with the strike. Keep the door open unless otherwise indicated. First, turn the outside handle. The latch bolt should not retract. If the latch bolt does retract, check that the batteries are properly installed. Next, make sure that the deadbolt is retracted and insert the test keycard into the reader. The red and green LEDs each flash once, then the green LED flashes for 4 seconds. Insert the keycard again and turn the outside lever while the green LED is flashing. The latch retracts fully. Release the lever and turn it again after the LED stops flashing. The latch must not retract again without first inserting the keycard. To test the privacy switch, start by turning the thumb turn to the horizontal position. If you have an Autodeadbolt Mortise, first extend the deadbolt by pressing the auxiliary latch, then turn the thumb turn to the horizontal position. With the thumb turn in the horizontal position, insert the test keycard. Instead of the normal sequence of lights, you should see the red and green LEDs flash together once, followed by a single green flash, and then the red LED flashing for 4 seconds. If you see the normal sequence that ends in a flashing green light, there is a problem with the privacy switch. Insert the test keycard again with the deadbolt extended. Turning the outside handle should not retract the latch or the deadbolt. Finally, test the fit of the strike. Close the door from the outside and use the test keycard to enter the room. The lock should function smoothly, without undue friction between the bolts and the strike. Enter the room and close the door. The latch bolts should engage the strike smoothly. On Autodeadbolt models, the deadbolt should extend as soon as the door is closed. On standard models, turn the thumb turn to extend the deadbolt. The deadbolt should engage the strike without excess friction. If there is friction with the deadbolt, file the deadbolt opening in the strike with a fine steel file. Do not file the opening for the latch. The Generation E-760 lock is now installed and ready for programming.